This is Arvin Vora, founder of Vora Method and co-founder of the AP Homeschool Project. Almost every ancient civilization had some type of literature. They almost all had some type of history. They almost all had some type of science and some type of medicine. They almost all had some type of arithmetic, whether through Roman numerals or Arabic numerals or knots on a string. But almost no ancient civilization had anything that could even be technically classified as algebra, using the broadest definitions for the broadest definition of algebra. Algebra is unnatural. Algebra is not written into human DNA. Literature is, history is, biology is, science is, but algebra is not something that most civilizations developed. It is not something that people are inherently good at or naturally good at. It's unnatural to everybody. I want to show you something here. This is how we write the Pythagorean theorem today. That if you have a right triangle, that you take the two legs, if you add up each of them raised to the second power, it's going to equal the hypotenuse, also raised to the second power. That's how we usually express it today. But that's not how Pythagoras expressed it. That's not how the ancient Greeks expressed the Pythagorean theorem. They couldn't express it like this. They didn't have this kind of algebra. This algebraic notation, by the way, was not even invented until the 1600s in France. This is how the Pythagorean theorem was originally expressed. You have a right triangle, and you draw squares on each of the smaller sides, and then you draw a square on the hypotenuse that these two red areas will add up to this blue area. This kind of algebraic notation that we're accustomed to is a very recent invention, and this is a very new development in human history. Now, it's also a very powerful one, and it's important if you want to study anything advanced. If you want to study physics or chemistry, advanced biology, advanced mathematics, advanced economics, advanced psychology, you're going to need to get comfortable with algebra. You need to get good at algebra, but it's not going to come naturally to you. Listen, it didn't come naturally to Pythagoras. It didn't come naturally to Euclid. Algebra is not a natural thing at all, but it is a very powerful thing. Now, if you're doing independent home study, if you're doing home study or homeschooling, anything like that, algebra is not going to happen by itself. Arithmetic can. Open-ended schooling can certainly get people good at arithmetic, but algebra requires that you have a definitive, intentional way of going about it. Now, that can be through something like Khan Academy, where you're very disciplined and very rigorous about it. It can be through something like Vora Method. That's my company, where we teach algebra very, very intensely. It can be through something like Kumon. If your budget doesn't allow Vora Method, you might consider Kumon or one of the other alternatives. But don't expect it to happen by itself. Algebra didn't happen by itself for most ancient civilizations. All the great ancient mathematicians in human history, most of them did not get to algebra. So if you want to get to algebra, it's going to be a choice that you make, something that you actively and intentionally pursue, not something that happens automatically.